Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
All right, we're guest-free the rest of the way. I had 3 outstanding guests on this program, I should say, already. Gaardsy now with the top 5.
Let's start with the professionals, and then we'll go down to the college ranks. We will start, as is custom, in the top 5 at 5, talking about the association, the National Basketball Association. And the San Antonio Spurs, Davey, got themselves into the NBA Finals last night with a 115-111 win over the New York Knicks. Cheapest ticket, I think, game time was right around $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. We've been talking about the ticket prices all week, how expensive it was going to be at the Madison Square Garden. And you guys will watch San Antonio, like I said, get themselves into it. Wemby with 32 points, 8 rebounds, big block at the end of the game, had 6 assists as well. Who was second? Was it Castle? It was. Stephen Castle with a huge 3 in the final couple of minutes. De'Aaron Fox with a big shot in the final minute. Castle then back at the line to kind of ice it with about, 7 seconds to go. And San Antonio, Davey, gets their first win, and the Knicks lead the series 2-1.
Well, it's obviously the game the Spurs had to win to give themselves a realistic chance to think they could come back and steal this thing. I came out of it thinking also that the Knicks had won, was it 13 in a row?
Yes, April 23rd, the last time they lost. Sports
being sports, the notion that they were somehow going to run the table and not lose again, you look back on it and you say, that's pretty preposterous. I think they made it believable going in.
They almost stole it last night, too.
Largely because the one thing the Spurs haven't been great at doing is winning clutch time games. They really haven't been. They've looked young in many of those situations. And I think that's why it was easy to think, okay, the Knicks are on their home court. And frankly, when New York got back seemingly in control at the half, I thought the Spurs were in trouble. New York came out like they'd already won the game in the third quarter. Their offense was a mess. Karl Anthony Towns got utterly and completely outplayed for the first time in the series by Wembanyama. Some of that may have been the way, again, that the Knicks ran their offense, but I'm not going to put all of it on that. I do not think Cat was anywhere near as good as he's been.
Well, they switched it, right? They took Wemby off of him.
They did. That's true.
Because they said, we're not going to have you chase him out there and make him shoot. They put the small guys on him.
It looked good last night. And I just don't think Cat played as well in general. So, fairness to, it's been a series of salutes to Cat and deserved. I'm not a New Yorker saying now cut him again, because we said if it was all it was going to take was one game in a row. Well, it was Cat again. That's the Cat. Well, is he reverting? But in fairness, he did not look particularly good yesterday. So now you're back to, if you're the Knicks, you're saying we have to win the next one, because otherwise we start losing control of this thing and the Spurs go back home with a chance to go up 3-2, right? So just like last night's game, I think was the key game for the Spurs. I really believe Game 4 is the key for the Knicks to take away the notion that the Spurs did anything but ruin the streak, right? That's what I think this whole thing is about. But I was shocked with how passively I felt New York came out in the third quarter. To me, that told the tale. I don't think it was about the refs. It was interesting because Brown whined about the refereeing, the free throw disparity between in the second half. But Brunson basically said, we made a lot of stupid mistakes and we fouled too much. Cat said he didn't think the officiating had anything to do with it. It was the players who said, no, it was on us. It was the coach maybe playing the politicking game, because they all do, right, who made it, I think, really too much about the officiating. And for some, it was very simple. There was nothing that Cat could have done. There's nothing Mike Brown could have done. There's nothing Jalen Brunson could have done. I think he had 4 or 5 more turnovers in the game because President Donald J. Trump was in the house. And from that point forward, the vibe was created that literally made it impossible for the New York Knicks to succeed. One other point. We've been on Wembanyama a little bit, right? We're saying, well, where's Victor? What's happened to him? That was easily his best game. And how did it start? They got him under the basket. And it wasn't on post-ups, but it was a couple of dunks early. They got him for the first time, it looked to me, for whatever reason, behind the defense, as we say in the business. And he was a dominant performer last night.
Part of the reason San Antonio Davey had so many free throws, especially in the fourth quarter, was the Knicks fouled him 3 times in the first 90 seconds of the fourth.
So you're going to be in the bonus for the whole quarter.
You're cooked. Any smart team, and the Spurs are a smart team, they do dumb stuff sometimes because they're all 12. But everybody knows, you get 2 or 3 quick ones, go. Draw some more fouls. I didn't even think about the foul disparity until I saw the Mike Brown stuff earlier today. Maybe I wasn't watching close enough. Maybe I was distracted by halftime when Charles Barkley had some funny things to say about Cardi B. Cardi B, and poor Ernie Johnson had to pick up the pieces of
You have the audio?
I don't.
Oh,
I should have grabbed. I just
yeah.
remembered it right now.
Well,
that was vintage inside the NBA.
Here's the question that's asked today. Is there another person in media who could as easily get away with what Charles Barkley said last night at halftime?
And real quickly, I'm trying to think.
Now, again, I'm not saying anybody else would have lost their job.
No.
But I think that's the beauty of being Charles. You're almost grandfathered in. That's Charles. That's it. That's what makes Charles great. That fearlessness of something that a lot of people would, at the very least, be put on double secret probation for saying, even though it was a hell of a funny line, and it clearly wasn't rehearsed.
No.
That's why Charles is so good, because he can think so quickly on his feet.
To catch people up quickly, and there's kids in the car, we'll sanitize it. It's really not even pornographic.
No,
but
it's not.
Cardi B, they flashed to her, no pun intended. She's doing the halftime show. Charles mentioned that it may need to be Cardi D's.
Yes, correct.
Cardi D's.
That's basically, and the rest of them all kind of had fun with it.
Even Ernie. Even poor Ernie.
Yeah, Ernie
cries at the national anthem. Ernie Johnson. I can't imagine that's his type of humor. But I don't even think McAfee could say that. McAfee would get heat for that.
Did you see the update on McAfee?
$60 million a year? Yeah.
That they're extending his contract, talking about $60 million a year. And he's more your guy than my guy.
Yeah.
But I can't deny it. I mean, if you're doing something, if you can get that much attention. He's valuable. This is a media era in which the tendency is, even with big money people, to back off a little bit and say, oh, do we really need to do that? And that's going the other direction. Yeah. Which obviously indicates ESPN's making a lot of money off of him. Yeah. And he just had the commissioner roundtable a couple of weeks ago. He's earning it. No question. You can't argue that he's earning it. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight. You'll hear it right here on the Fan. Vegas, after the double overtime thriller the other night, leads the series 2-1. We just had Luigi on and wondered what was going to happen with the goaltender, Rod Brindamore, 54 minutes ago. Would not name his starting goalie. Said, we'll see, with a smile. That from Pierre LeBrun's Twitter account. What was your lead item in the top 5? National Basketball Association. Man, did you... Have you reading some of the text? No, I don't have it up today. I like how Gaardsy does the top 5 of 5. Start with the most painfully dull subject imaginable and build from there. Smart. I know the hockey community gets butthurt. I know you do, but my God. The audacity to talk about Game 3 of the NBA Finals. We're finals, Stanley Cup Finals, what I'm told. You got it. That's got to be, you got to apologize for that? Do you have to explain it or something? There was no hockey game last night, was there? No, there's one tonight. Yes. You'll hear it right here in the Fan. We just talked about it with Luigi. People are weird, man. It's hot today, too. They're probably not hydrated. It's 320 area code. That might explain. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's Bruce Siskey, voice of the Bulldogs. Maybe it's Siskey. It is. Yeah, it could be. Siskey's giving us some static. Is it a Siskey burner account? Could be a Siskey burner. Yeah, it's possible. Speaking of the WNBA real quick, Olivia Miles was named the Kia WNBA Rookie of the Month. Can't be anything but the Kia WNBA Rookie of the Month. Think that makes sense. Fun one at Target Center tonight, 7 o'clock puck drop. Paige Beckers
And the Dallas Wings in town.
Dallas
Center.
is off to a good start, too, are they not? They are much improved.
7-3.
We are number one record-wise with a bullet.
9-2.
Thus far. And but did you see, speaking of the WNBA, a scathing treatise on Caitlin Clark from your guy, Bill Plaschke, LA Times. And Plaschke describes himself as a huge, historically massive Caitlin Clark fan and apologist who says she's got to grow up.
Wow.
She's got to stop whining. Her nonverbal communications on the court are over the top.
Well, there is that.
And I think there's some ground for discussion there. Even those of us who are Caitlin Clark apologists, in fairness, I don't think, now I didn't read the whole column, but based on the snippets I saw, I'm not sure that's entirely false. Do you?
No, the body language stuff, Lisa Bluter, her college coach, talked about her freshman year. She sat her down and showed an entire film session of body language stuff. Because she is, what's the word for it? Loud. Not necessarily with her voice, but just loud. Gesturing, the eyes. You always know.
She just hit a game winner from the logo last night, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, she's still Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how everything's under examination now with her, even more so than a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was. It's pretty interesting. I mentioned 7 o'clock at Target Center. Do you want to go to 27? You want to go a little longer? Or do you want me to? Because we got more stuff.
Yeah,
or we
you
can pause.
Keep going.
We'll see how long we can go.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Where did I want to get to? Oh, we should mention, because there is a thread to the top 5 believe it or not. There's a narrative. And we brought up the Stanley Cup final, and we should mention that Michael McCarron, Minnesota Wild, was ready for the biggest payday of his life. And technically this still is. But he did not go to the July 1 market.
He could have.
We won't be driving, or I won't be driving 4th of July weekend out to, what was it called at the time? It's not that anymore. Excelsior. I'm not there much anymore. I can't remember. To go have, a family function when we got the word that Parisi and Suter were coming, right? July 1st. He's not going to have to do that. Not that it's in the same ballpark, but you get my point. He's 31, reading Russo and Joe Smith's story, father of 2. Never made more than $900,000 in his hockey career. Still a pretty good gig for the young man, but now has signed
it's a 6-year contract.
6 years.
He's going to be 50 by the end of the deal.
$20 million in total. The average annual value, and it's broken down differently. You can find that where you want. Average annual value is $3.3 million. McCarron said the fit was so perfect, Dan, quote, no point looking elsewhere.
He lost himself in our eyes.
Free agency. You want more?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
I could have gotten more in free agency.
Yeah. It's not about the money.
Why would you look elsewhere when you're in a really good spot on a team in a window to win a Stanley Cup?
Boom.
And with people up top that believe in you. So good for him. Michael McCarron, he bet on himself for year after year after year, and now he's got $20 million coming his way.
How tall is he? 6'6", 6'8", 6'9"?
Yeah, we'll go 6'6".
Go 6'6"?
Yeah.
What would Wemby, how long could Wemby last at 7'4", 7'5" as a hockey player? Could a 7-foot hockey player, in other words, somebody who grew up in the game, would that work? Could that happen in hockey, or is that impossible?
I feel like that's too big.
I do too.
And with Wemby's build,
you just get crushed.
Yeah,
legally and illegally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Zach Edey, my guy for Purdue, he grew up playing hockey, and then he said he got too big. He's from Canada.
Yeah,
he grew up and got too big for it, essentially. So then he had to terrorize the Big Ten for 4 years and go to the free throw line 5 million times and do whatever he wanted. It still bothers me.
You're still bitter about it, aren't you? You and Richard Pitino.
Ben, Nico.
All of them.
We're all bored with it. So that's the good news there for your Minnesota Wild. You and Louie were also talking about this. Louie and you were also talking about this. The 3 teams that Dylan Larkin reportedly agreed to be traded to, because he's got a list. He's one of those, vested vets that can pretty much dictate where he wants to go or have a no trade list. Apparently, according to Trevor Connors, Yahoo Sports.
He's plugged in.
Stories by Hockey Feed that Yahoo Sports picked up on. The original 3 were the Wild, the Panthers, the Golden Knights.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about. It was the Panthers was the one I'd forgotten.
And then the Red Wings insider, Helene St. James, has identified 3 other teams today that she believes have been added to the list.
So now it's up to 6. So we're not as special as I thought we were earlier today.
And the Ducks are on there. Interesting.
Typical.
Good young team, LA.
Yeah.
Lightning, Stanley Cup pedigree, and the New York Islanders is what she thinks. Red Wings insider.
Well, I'm with Louie. I'm deferring to Louie, and I tend to agree. I'm not giving up Volstead for him. He's good, a really nice play. He would definitely help. He becomes your number one center. I'm not doing it. And I'm not. The number one reason I wouldn't consider including Joel Eriksson Ek that deal is I don't want to hear people whining whenever our number one or number two center gets hurt that we can't win because we don't have enough depth at center. That's the whole idea. The idea is to have them both. Now, does that make it unrealistic to get them? I don't think so, because I think you got some other young talent, draft picks, whatever. But it goes back to there are layers to the greatness at the center position, right? There are plateaus. I don't think this guy's on the top plateau compared to some other people we've talked about, where I go, whatever it takes, and then I might be willing on Volstead. I don't think Larkin's the guy where you say, well, I'm going to swallow hard, it's not going to be fun, but we would give up Volstead. Do you?
No.
That's what everybody in hockey that I respect has said, and I'm going to defer to them.
Problem is, do they have enough to do it without him?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. You're exactly right.
They are what we call in the business asset poor, right? Top line talent rich, asset poor in the moment, which is when you're going all in, that's a lot of times what happens. It's June 9th, which is an interesting time to hear from PJ Fleck and Gopher quarterback Drake Lindsay. But both of them met the media today. Maverick Baranowski, I think, as well, the linebacker, who's also returning to Dinkytown. But obviously, with Drake, they want to talk about his arrest from last month. Yes. And that's what PJ was asked about as well. Here's what the head coach, for the first time, had to say about that from a few weeks back.
Drake's just got to make better decisions, just like all the players on our team. Take accountability for those decisions, learn from those decisions, and be better for it. That's the only thing you can do with your football team is continue to educate him, and I know he'll be way better for it, and he has been.
What type of punishment might he be facing?
We'll handle all that internally. We already have.
HIPAA laws.
So is it considered in the past?
No, it's not considered in the past yet. It's ongoing.
The situation where he might miss some time in any games?
I will keep that all internal.
We'll find out, I guess, Thursday, September 3rd, if he'll miss any time.
Well, so as I understand it, looking back, he uses a phony ID at a bar, correct?
Yes.
And as that gets uncovered, they ask him whether he's been drinking, or he says he had been drinking, at which point they cuffed him, correct? And then they arrested him. Not a good look at all, obviously. Not anything that can be recommended. Definitely worthy of attention and punishment. I don't think it's, for me, something that rises to the level of we can never see him again, or he's got to miss half of a season. Although I don't know what the rest of this, I don't know if there's more to it. I don't know if there's any suggestion of a pattern of behavior that might be involved here. So a screw up for sure, one that he has to be held accountable for. But I don't put it in the classification of, okay, that's it. How can you even keep him in the organization? I think that's trying a little too hard to make a point. And as tough as, I don't say tough, but as eye-rolling as I can be on some aspects of PJ, we've talked about this before. And maybe they've just done a better job of hiding stuff than other programs. But if you go, how many years has he been here now,
This
PJ?
is year 10.
Okay, so in year 10, in all seriousness, when you talk about off-field stuff like this, it's pretty damn rare. And fairness and savagery, that has to be, if we make a big deal of that when it's not handled right, I don't think we can ignore it. It doesn't mean he needs to be coached his entire life here, or that we should give him a lifetime deal. But I guess the only question would be, did they wait too long to address it? Was there a way to show urgency with it, to like, all right, we're not going to wait. We're going to have a press conference. We're going to deal with this thing now. I don't know what the logistics are there. And you may know more behind the scenes than I, but not a good look at all. And I think it sounded like Fleck is sounding the right note, which is this is ongoing. It's not in the past, which means our eyes are on you, right? That's the way I took it.
Here's Drake.
As the leader of the football team, I understand I, can't make those decisions. I've certainly grown a lot from them and learned a lot. I apologize to the administration, our staff, all the players, and I'll certainly grow from this and continue to.
How did you first kind of address it with the team once you guys all got back together?
Apologize, straightforward, took accountability. That's what a man and a leader has to do, and I'll continue to do that.
How do you feel maybe this helps you in the long run when you have like a speed bump like this?
News.
Yeah, I've certainly learned a lot from it, and I'll continue to. Having the coaches have my back has been awesome, and the players, so I'll continue to learn for sure.
And the music ran out. That's how long we went on the top 5 at 5. But that's
is he going to the pros next year? Or does it depend on how he does this year?
Have you seen all the drafts team on him?
Yes.
By a lot of different people.
A lot. So is that automatic, or does that depend in part on how he plays this season?
Well, I'm hoping it's the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope he plays great and he's a first-round pick. Right. But I don't know if they were planning on only having him for 2 years as the starter. You know what I mean? It actually surprised me a little bit, all the first-round buzz.
Me too. Yeah.
Nate Tice, the guy we just had on, is big time.
Exactly. And I had meant to get to that with him. We ran out of time with him, but apparently he's at least right now, very high on him. That's true.
We're in a rain delay. I know everybody was worried about it and wondering. We are in a rain delay in Detroit. Twins and Tigers. They were supposed to start here a little while ago, but they will not because it's apparently raining. The Twins 30-37 on the season. The Tigers 27-39. A big one at Ford Field.
Will you do me a favor? Because we have the time to do it right now. So actually, you know what? I'll just call it up because I need to make a point here regarding the the current condition of your Minnesota Twins. What I'm reading is, on the one hand, we are now 7 under 5. We're 30-37, as I think you mentioned.
Yep.
But what I'm hearing on the other side of it, but we're only 3 games out of the last wild card spot.
There you go.
And I got to tell you, guys, boys and girls, we got to stop. So if we're 30-37, we got a winning percentage of .448, right? So
I'll take your word.
Let's see.
That's
1,
what it says.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 teams with a better winning percentage right now than we have.
There's not that many in the American League.
So it should just stop. The idea that, only because, again, think about what you're suggesting. If you want to play the game, play along and say, numbers don't lie. Record's not great, but we're still only 3 games out of that last wild card spot. Does anybody in their right mind think that as we approach the trade deadlines, now maybe even one deadline, I don't know where it is any longer, that hanging 2 or 3 games out of the last wild card spot, even gaining a little bit of ground, is going to mean that suddenly the Twins are going to have second thoughts about shaving $60 million off their payroll and having their lowest payroll in decades or years, certainly? No, nothing's going to change. So stop couching it in a way like, chip, chair, and a chance, you get it going. We're not going to get it going. And also the excuse that, look at the damage that's been done from an injury standpoint to our rotation, that would kill any team. It'll especially kill a team that gave itself no margin for error on the basis of those payroll changes. So it's not worth playing that game right now. And I think people in my business are doing it out of habit. And it's technically true, right? 3 games on the last wild card spot. Does anybody really take that seriously, given the record that they currently have and their conditions? So please stop.
Fan has your chance to win $2,500. Maybe, which Pohlad is it? Tom Pohlad? He could go to KFAN.com. KFAN.com and use the keyword TRIP for your chance at $2,500. We celebrate 250 years of America, Dan, with $250,000 to be given away. KFAN.com, and the keyword today is TRIP.
Do we have yet another form of shaming? This form of shaming I was not familiar with, and I'm beginning to question the premise. Is this a real thing, or is this a very click-worthy story that is being perpetuated more for that reason than it is the new reality? We'll discuss next.
You're listening.
business, maybe, and to a certain extent it's always been this way, but I feel like it's now to the 10th power. We're all fighting for your attention. We're all fighting to get you to continue to listen to us or watch us or to read us, whatever. And that's where I'm torn on this story. I don't want to go ostrich on the bit and pretend that something isn't going on when it is. I'll just introduce it, and you tell me whether you've heard very much about it, or if this is one of those stories that occasionally is rearing its head, but might not be as widespread as is suggested, because it has all the elements, certainly, to get people's attention. And this is apparently called food shaming inside school cafeterias. Are you familiar with this one?
I don't think so.
I wasn't either. It's being described by the Wall Street Journal, among others, I assume, as an insidious bullying tactic. And basically, the accusation is that kids are snapping and sharing photos of other students, wait for it, eating lunch. And at first you go, oh, yeah, what's very exciting or interesting about that? Well, apparently there are two categories that are gaining attention that people are actually thinking it's worth doing and mocking. The ugly mouthful of food and the lonely eater.
Oh, really?
It's unbelievable. So they quote a high school senior in San Diego named Christian Okafor. I wonder if he's related to Jalil, who we almost took in the cat draft. According to Sam Mitchell, again, as recently as Sunday, until the last minute, Flip was going to take him.
Milton Newton.
Until Milton Newton saved the day and said, go back, look at high school tapes of Cat. He's more versatile. Okafor can do one thing, post up in college, maybe not so much in the pros. And the rest is history. It worked out better for Cat than Okafor.
Hey, I was always going to take Cat. You think I didn't watch high school tape until the night before? That's what he told me, too. But so I don't know if Sam's embellishing or not. Or maybe Flip was trying to plug leaks in his own organization and throwing people off the set. I'm trying to get Flip the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, me too.
Rest in peace, because, man, if it was that close, woo.
Okafor says, this high school senior in San Diego, he's been the subject of unflattering lunch photos 30 to 40 times. Makes you feel self-conscious and you like to have to hide while eating. He says that the shaming at lunch, the lunch shaming, has caused him to scout secluded places on his school's outdoor campus to eat. Over time, he acknowledges that he has learned to brush it off. He says he regularly witnesses it happening to other students, but hasn't reported the behavior to administrators because he doesn't feel there's much they can do about it. There's a quote here from a professor at the University of Virginia, Catherine Bradshaw. Catching people doing embarrassing things has been going on for some time. This is the more recent iteration of that. And she says the school cafeterias are often the place for bullying to occur because the student-staff ratio is much higher than it is in the classroom.
That's true.
Which makes some sense. She's been collecting data on 25,000 students. When asked where at school they've been bullied in the past month, 14% of elementary students and 18% of both middle and high school students reported it happening in the cafeteria. They quote a recent graduate named Nihar Patel, hadn't eaten lunch in the cafeteria at his Fairfield, Ohio school since his freshman year, similarly because of lunch shaming. He says he was personally never a target, but one of his good friends was biting into a turkey sandwich when she noticed a flash. A group of other girls had taken her photo and posted it to the school's Class of 2026 Snapchat page. She stopped eating at school. I know she's always had body issues. So Patel, his friend, and a few others began eating lunch in a teacher's classroom after that. Stein Kaplan Jorgensen, another professor, this is at the University College in Copenhagen, says lunch shaming has extra dimensions of cruelty beyond just making people look bad mid-bite. He's been studying bullying, by the way, for more than a decade. Other struggles students might be facing, body image issues, food allergies, or lower socioeconomic status come into play. And because these photos can be snapped so quickly, it's often hard for school supervisors to know it's even happening. It's the subtle, hidden bullying, he says, that happens to be the worst. So what's the upshot of this, or what's the answer? Well, again, I'll ask the question. I'm not saying this isn't real. I'm saying, is it widespread? Or is this, again, the kind of story where you end up being more anxious than you need to be, or you even instill fear in kids that they didn't even know existed because they never even heard about this till either we're talking about it or somebody's written about it? The obvious answer, wherever it's happening, and it's the best answer to so many of these stories we've discussed over recent years, is what? Banning phones. But is it conceivable to ban? I think banning phones in the classroom is easier to do than banning phones, period.
Right.
Are there schools that have actually gone to, we are banning phones from school, period? You cannot bring a phone to school?
Probably.
Or is it you come to your first class, we put the phones in your homeroom class, they're there all day, you come back to retrieve them after that? I don't know. But obviously, look, you're never going to stop kids, sadly, from bullying other kids or mocking them for looking funny or eating funny, or like anybody looks great eating, by the way.
Right.
Who looks good eating?
Small handful.
Yeah, a small handful. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Maybe Cardi B included.
Yeah.
That's it. But the issue obviously is the photo. It's that then being produced as a product that then gets online and then gets people going.
And that's where a lot of bullying happens now, too.
There's
online.
no question about that, yeah. So
I had never heard of it. I hadn't heard of it.
Either.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
Obviously, those individuals are not making them up, right? That's not AI in the Wall Street Journal. We'd like to think that the Wall Street Journal is pretty reputable.
Correct.
Because my other question would be, if it is happening, like the kids that say, we just don't even want to say anything because what's going to happen, that's sad in a way, too.
Yes.
Because that's an easy one. That should be an easy one to stop.
It should be.
Like, it's tough on the playground sometimes. It's tough in the lunchroom. It's obviously tough online. But if that's happening, that's a pretty easy one to bring a couple people in and go, you do this again, there's going to be consequences for it, right? Because there's no even gray area on that one. If it is...
No, I don't think
as opposed to like a he said, she said on the playground.
You're never going to be able to completely eliminate kids making fun of other kids. We all grew up with it.
Sure.
It was always painful to do it, and there's only so much you can do to legislate on it. You hope if it gets out of hand, and then that's another question. That's very subjective about what gets out of hand meaning. But we're all been in positions, unfortunately, where we've been on the wrong side of that, and some of it is you have to try to learn to deal with it because someone's not always going to be there to protect you from it.
Right.
On the other hand, if it gets to that place where it's quote unquote over the line, you hope there are people in positions of authority who do their best to discourage it. So I don't know what the answer is, but I'd love some questions via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. If people out there, and we often hear from teachers, we sometimes hear from administrators,
for sure,
and principals. I would absolutely love to hear from them, because I've done my own unscientific poll and gotten the feedback I've gotten is, I don't remember that so much. I'm not aware of that so much. Doesn't mean it's not happening. Is it more likely to happen in some schools than others? Is that based on, again, what kind of limits are already in place? What kind? I don't know how much. What goes into, what factors into all of those situations. So let's get a pause in. As I said, we'll run some text when we come back on this controversy at 64686. I've got also an Angel Reese update to get to, and I've got a what was the other item that I got via? Oh, I've got some interesting texts that are talking about our mix of subjects this time of year. A couple complaints there,
okay,
which we might have to address.
Sure. So
plenty of time, guest-free, the rest of the way. We'll run some text when we return.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan.
Edina story is coming up in a minute, and it's interesting. We've not done the Edina story segment for years, and this will be, I think, the second time this week that we are sort of re-examining I guess actually it was late last week with Ben Gessling, the track and field controversy, which was discussed involving an Edina runner. It's maybe this whole bit will have a second life. We're still looking for the sounder that was brilliantly done years ago by Big Voice Guy, but we can't find it. I'd like to think that it will turn up sooner or later. Regarding food shaming on school campuses, high schools, middle schools, grade schools, etc., the concept is snapping photos of either people looking unartful while they eat or kids eating alone. About as cruel a gesture as one could have. We all like to think there have been a bunch of movies where the do-good kid, the real do-good kid, who is the most popular kid in town, spots the kid sitting by himself or herself at the lunch counter, and everybody else is kind of, they're kind of snickering, like, oh, nobody ever wants to sit with Johnny. And that kid says, I will.
Right.
And out of nowhere makes that statement, and suddenly all the other defenses are broken down and everybody wins. It's a nice fable. I don't know how often it happens. Maybe it happens more often than we think, and it's just not reported. But those are the new forms of food shaming that are discussed in a Wall Street Journal story that I cited last segment. Here's some text responding. Dan, this is from Dennis out of Shakopee. This was a thing back in the 80s. There's a picture of me in the yearbook sitting alone at the lunch table with my tray and a small carton of milk. Mind you, I wasn't chiseled. The caption read, everybody needs milk.
Wow, yearbook. That's forever.
That's forever. That's very, very true,
Dennis.
Davey. The fact that there's a graduating class Snapchat that all the kids post to is the issue. Guessing there's not a lot of supportive messages posted to it. But I don't think you can do anything about that, can you? A graduating class Snapchat? How do you I mean, is there any point in trying to prohibit that? I mean, kids are. I mean, what do you do with that? I don't know. This is from 651 guy. I'm a teacher in, is it pronounced P-I-E-R-Z?
Piers?
Piers, right? We have phones banned for 2 years now. Students must turn them into their teacher who they have the last class of the day. If they are caught with them during the school day, a parent has to come pick it up. We still deal with cyberbullying like other schools, but the amount we've had the last 2 years has been significantly reduced since we got rid of phones. We've also noticed a lot more students having, wait for it, real conversations at lunch.
No way.
Rather than just eating and looking at their phone.
I love it, Piers.
My kids go to this is Judd in Chicago. My kids go to religious private schools, so it's not a fair comparison, but the schools do not allow anything more than a flip phone, often without a camera, and certainly not to be used at any point during the day. No social media either, although some do it at home, but it's a small amount. It's wonderful. When they get out of high school, they are not dependent on their phones, and there is far less bullying in these schools. Public schools, a different beast, and there's a limit to what they can indeed do. Yet another reason to keep cell phones out of schools. 312 guy out of Chicago. At least a 312 area code Chicago. I'm a 20-year-old teacher. I shouldn't say that. I'm a 20-year teacher. I have not seen this happen yet, but generally when things get advertised, they take off a la 6-7. That being said, the fact that this is being written about the beginning of summer bodes well. That is not likely to be a big thing in the fall. I'm old enough to remember the good old days when you didn't document your bullying. Love the show. I'm sure the incidents in the cafeteria are very true. I'll only talk about North Dakota. This was dictated. Sounds like, again, perhaps they take away the phones throughout the day, and bullying has dropped. It's going to happen in other ways, but at least the online stuff has dropped significantly during the school day. Brad Pitt's movies gross like 5 times as much when he eats in them.
That's like an inside joke Brad Pitt has.
That's true.
Like in the Ocean's
including
movies.
In the Ocean
we were just
movies,
talking about that yesterday.
Exactly
His bit is he's eating in every scene.
That's pretty much true.
And he looks good. He's the one.
Well, he's the one.
Yeah.
You're right. He's one.
He
of
looks
very, very
great
few.
eating.
I'm guessing Clooney looks good eating.
Probably.
Maybe a couple of others. Dan, I heard from high schoolers at my kids' high school that this does happen with kids' cars. They're taking pictures and posting them to kids that have quote unquote bad cars. Man,
that could be an Edina story.
That could be, but the thing about that is, I'd have thought, well, it's 2026. In my day, it would be if you just have something that can run.
Yeah, it's
nobody's
not like
going to be
that.
mad at you. They're going to go, you got wheels, man. I don't care what it look. I don't even care if there's an outside. If you can drive it and get me from point A to point B, I'll never say a bad word about your jalopy. That's over. Those days
That's
are
been
done.
over a while.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
But I caught my kids doing some of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was like a vacation thing or something. I mean, my kids are spoiled, obviously, and I was spoiled, obviously. I think we're all pretty upfront about that. I've never been as mad at my kids when I heard them say that. Like, just about like...
Well, no, and that's good to get on. It's a good message.
I don't even remember what it was, but it just... I have such a reaction to that type of bullying. Maybe because I grew up with it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, everybody has, to some extent.
To some extent, yeah.
But nothing bothers me more than that, like the classism snobbery. Or like, oh, like you said, you have a car, It gets you from point A to point B. It's,
612 guy writes, I graduated in 2024, Dan, and the lunch issues were very present my whole time in high school. Not only would kids do the lunch photos, they would also throw carrots or just make messes like toddlers, which ultimately made me start skipping lunch. There's also, at least in my school, anonymous Instagram pages run by unknown students who had Google forms you could fill out with these pictures, more often naming students they don't like for whatever reason, or making fun of them anonymously to a page with thousands of followers from the high school, or from the school. High school was rough. Adapting to the real world has been a breath of fresh air. Love the show.
There's that for a lot of people.
Isn't that
unfortunately?
amazing?
Yeah.
That is, and again, none of these things didn't happen in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, but it wasn't as sustained because it was just word of mouth stuff. And that could be cruel. We all saw it, but you didn't feel like everybody necessarily knew about it, right? Like in an online world, that's part of the reason. PJ has no difficulty eating difficult questions for breakfast. Is that related to the top five?
Must
is that
be.
related to this discussion?
I don't think he's a food shamer.
The next news story will be the lawsuit or criminal case associated with a Target student committing suicide. Taking pictures and posting is common and yet is a form of harassment. This is where schools want to pretend they are a safe space. Well, again, I'm not going to be too hard on schools in that regard. They're trying. I mean, there's limits to what they can do. I appreciate schools who try stuff. The question, I think, again, we've learned on a number of fronts, there's no miracle cure. A lot of times, though, there are different levels of leadership in different schools. And a lot of times that it's the message that's conveyed there. Because this is messy and this can be controversial and you're going to get pushback from parents, et cetera. And it's the old deal of, are you willing to say, fine, bring it on. We're going to be fair as we can to everybody, but we're not going to negotiate on these sorts of issues. Others, I think other administrators say, not worth it. I've been fighting this fight for 25, 30 years. You don't know what we're dealing with. We got lawyers. We got people from the school board. I'm done. So everybody can kind of fend for themselves, unfortunately.
Well, and how many times we said it, though, it goes back to what's happening at homes, too.
Often. Yeah.
What's the message being conveyed at home when it comes to stuff like this from the bullier? Like when the message does go back home.
Yeah.
Says, hey, look.
A lot of times they don't know.
Or when they do, they don't care.
Right.
And nothing ever really changes. So that's where a lot of stuff comes back to, I think, for me.
Here's the toughest one. Dan, it's real. It's awful. It broke my heart when my daughter told me she spends the lunch hour in the bathroom or library.
Exactly.
And she's a sophomore in high school. It's just, that's... And again, you're not going to be able to eliminate it, but that doesn't mean you just throw up your hands and give up on it. And phones don't change everything, but it's a lot of it because that's how this stuff can get conveyed in mass quantities, right? That's the whole point. And the old picture's worth 1,000 words. right?
It's where they all live.
Images.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's where they all live.
No question.
All of us kind of live socially now, social media on our phones, but certainly the younger generation. So that's why it's even more damaging, because it's literally in their ecosystem where they spend much of their time. I
got another one I got to throw out to you that I found out about earlier today, and I have to find the term because this is another one I had not heard of before. Are you familiar with Shrek-xting? Shrek-xting, as in Shrek, the movie character?
I think I can put it together, yeah.
Shrek-xting. Apparently, there's a significant case involving a message sent to a politician that this particular person didn't like, and it appeared in what's called Shrek-xting form. The question is whether the law rightly got involved in this particular case. I'm not making this story up. We'll give you details. We'll keep the text coming, and we'll get back to a little NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Final conversation in our final half hour of today.
You're listening.
Is a Twitter site called NBA Trade Rumors legit? It's got a check mark.
Yeah, I think so.
Have you seen their latest?
About Giannis?
No.
No, I haven't then.
Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves are gaining serious traction on a potential Kyrie Irving deal per sources.
Yeah.
Talks have been going on for about a week or so. Haven't had it confirmed to me yet. But Kyrie to Minnesota sounds likely.
Interesting.
It's getting interesting.
Believe.
I want to believe it. I'll admit it. That's why I said it. I don't know how credible this source is. We do know that Kyrie's in the mix of players that they absolutely would have to consider, and that the price tag would be far less than it would be for Giannis, right?
Yep.
He's also not as good a player at this point as Giannis is.
Coming off an injury.
And he is coming off an injury.
I think he's older.
I'm starting to worry about Giannis's injury status, too, a little bit at this point. But he is older. But he also plays the right position for you.
Right.
Because in a sense, you kill two birds with one stone, right? In that you add another primetime player, if healthy, and he plays a position you are in desperate need to fill. 100%. You want the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands a little bit more? You make Kyrie Irving the other guy in the backcourt. Changes an awful lot. So we'll see where that goes. The latest Edina story. We don't have the sounder anymore. Maybe we'll get it restarted. We'll see. I don't know exactly what to make of this one. I think this was a local, I want to credit the publication that had this story. We'll look it up here in a minute. Quick Trip.
Oh, yeah.
Has apparently abandoned its plans for an Edina location after following what's described as less than favorable feedback from city staff, leaving the site's existing office building up for sale. Now, I don't think this, of course, is being immediately turned into a classist story and typically Edina story. We're too snooty to have we're above Quick Trips. On the other hand, I don't know that there's anybody who thinks of Quick Trip as a cultural icon. Those convenience stores they're convenient, right? We all go to them and they come in handy when you need them. But is this necessarily the diss that says Edina is too arrogant that people suggest it is? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm asking. I'm trying occasionally to not go knee-jerk on another chance to savage Edina. Let's do it, because that's the whole point of Edina stories. There is such a thing as Edina derangement syndrome. It's real. Often, it's merited. We've talked about that over the years. You live there. You confirm it.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't necessarily mean every story is all that legit. So I'll ask again. If this was a story in which the Dateline was any other suburb but Edina, let's just say it was Eden Prairie, an Eden Prairie location, would there even be a headline on this story? Because I have to believe it's not unprecedented that in a certain zoning situation or a certain spot, not everybody is raising their hand excited about let's add another convenience store. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So I'll throw that out to the community at large, to the KFAN text line. Try to separate your derangement syndrome about Edina from this story, unless there are specific nuggets in it that drip of Edina hubris.
I'll say this as a resident, or as a former resident, someone who still has family that lives in the city, works in the city. The location where they wanted to do this, it could use a quick trip.
Really? So where is this spot? Can you?
So this is like 169, just north of 62.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what is around it. Kind of like United Healthcare headquarters, the Minnetonka, Eden Prairie side of it. Like on the other side of 169 is Edina. And it could use, it's kind of where Patino and PJ used to live.
Okay.
In that area. It could use it. It could use a nice quick trip right there.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they don't have a good, gas station, way station, get whatever you need on that side of town.
But here's the rub, and here's, in fact, some folks have already started texting regarding Edina quick trip. Hold on, I scroll down here. It would be placed in a highly residential neighborhood off 169 that doesn't quite fit the zoning requirements. Calm down. So
that's what they're going with.
I don't know if that's true, but it's not inconceivable, is it? I mean, I'll ask again. Would this story get a headline if it was any other suburb debating the same issue? I tend to think it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't.
In Plymouth, it wouldn't. In Maple Grove, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not an issue that can be discussed, but this really, I think, underscores the whole point of Edina Stories.
Yes. That was the point of Edina Stories.
Yeah.
The fact that it's just a normal run-of-the-mill thing that a city will deal with as they put sidewalks in neighborhoods. That was an Edina story, right?
Yes.
Which we thought at the time was funny because the same thing was happening in our neighborhood.
100%. 100%. The open anarchy and rebellion. You're going to put a sidewalk in on one side of the street?
Yep.
We don't want to be Eden Prairie.
And Minnetonka, you never heard of that. And mainstream media...
Never heard the story.
Mainstream media didn't want to touch that.
No.
But when Edina started doing it, all of a sudden it's A1. I'll push back on the texter, though. Yes, it's in a residential area.
But you're saying if you were in one of those homes, you'd say, hey, I'd like having one close by me.
I would just say, that's literally where my parents used to live.
Okay. So you know the area.
In this exit we could get off of on 169. And on the other side of the street that they're talking about, there's a pizza bar, there's a Pilgrim Cleaner, there's a cookie shop. I'm just looking at Google Maps because I haven't been around here. I think D. Bryan's used to be there. Like, it's technically, by a residential area, but it's right off the highway it's replacing like a business office park. So it's not like it was, they're not knocking down condos.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting that they don't necessarily want it there because I think it'd be a good spot, but I'm not a city planner. I don't know how that works.
Papa Taco is weighing in. Quick trips are great. I just dropped my son off for his baseball game. We stopped at the dirtiest gas stations, which are speedways. It's right in the heart of Edina, so that's weird.
Wow.
He's a big believer, apparently, in quick trips over speedway. I don't know that I know the distinction. Do you? That's from Papa Taco.
I don't know if there is one. I know I go to the quick trip in Egan all the time during training camp.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there's not really one by me necessarily. Right. My son was just asking me where the closest quick trip was because we went to one in Chanhassen. He's like, there's not one by us.
We don't have any 7-Elevens in Minnesota, do we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
A Quick Trip is actually a cultural icon. I will go out of my way to find the nearest Quick Trip.
Yeah.
Every other red-blooded Minnesotan would admit the same thing under duress.
They're big Viking sponsors. I hear Pete Bursich talk about the onions, potatoes, and tomatoes every broadcast.
Does Super America, do they still exist or they've been bought
Speedway.
out? That's Speedway. I see. Okay.
That's Speedway now.
This is from Clayton in Rochester.
Supermom sandwiches, by the way.
Really?
Underrated.
Would you and Gaardsy come in studio if the Wolves trade for Kyrie over the 4th?
Yeah.
Hashtag believe. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Well, I might be in Wisconsin, but I'd call in.
Well, that's my problem, too. I might not be in town, but otherwise, we were
just in Excelsior last time it happened.
That's true.
So we could make the drive.
It made it a little easy, that's for sure.
Parker and Max might have to be on call.
Lastly, some 7'6" guy. Look at how adults treat each other online. That's obviously bad, but it shouldn't come as a shock when children behave cruelly to each other when the example they are given is so poor. We all need to be better for no other reason to be better examples for teens with brains that haven't developed yet. And that gets back to...
That's a good point.
The degree of intensity that parents will bring to finding out their kids involved in this stuff. If it's the old, kids will be kids. If you take that attitude, it's more likely, I think, to expand, right? And your kid gets the message. Not going to really get in that much trouble if you try to at least attempt to push back and set up some ground rules and say, here's why this is stupid, and here's why we're not going to do this as long as you're in my home. Then maybe it can make a little bit of a difference, too. We'll come back.
I'm wondering how my life would be different, by the way, if I had a quick trip this close to my house.
You think quality of life would be enhanced?
It may have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll never know.
Yeah, it's too late now.
And now all these kids in this neighborhood, Parkwood Knowles neighborhood,
they've all been deprived of
They'll never know.
Well, maybe there'll be a late rush to get it done. I have no idea.
I think Nico lives around there. He'll never know.
Seriously?
Yeah, his daughters will never know the quick trip phenomenon. Being just in the neighborhood store.
You find these stores charming.
They're good. I like quick trips.
All right. Let's come back with that, what did I call it? Shrek-xting story that I still can't quite believe, but is apparently true. Stay tuned.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan.
Show Wrap is brought to you by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washers since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
You kids, your kids, Shrek fans, it might be a little dated now.
They've seen it.
I loved it. I loved the
Great
Shrek
series.
films. I thought it was a terrific series.
Yep.
So I'm not making this story up. An Ohio courtroom may soon have to determine whether a blogger should face jail time for texting an image of Shrek's private parts for a public official, or to a public official.
Excuse me?
The Columbus Dispatch reports that DJ Burns, an Ohio blogger who runs a Statehouse gossip substack called The Rooster, was arrested for sending to a representative out of Kirtland named Jerry Serino this offending image. It's described as a digitally altered version of Shrek, the ogre with a titular children's movie franchise, with some inappropriate parts exposed. An affidavit with Burns' arrest report describes the ogre as fully nude, blah, 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 and it kind of goes on from there. There was also a message calling Serino young Mussolini. Not only is the message harassing, but the disgusting picture is pornographic in nature and something I do not want to see on any of my devices, said the email sent to Kirtland police. So he gets arrested, Burns, the blogger, booked on June 1. He says he spent 23 hours in custody. He's been released on bond, or he was released on bond June 2. In an analysis of the case, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, an organization we quote often on this show, cautioned that, as in essentially all First Amendment cases, context and details matter. They're claiming that based on the available facts, the organization wrote that Burns should not be facing harassment charges. FIRE argues that Burns' Shrek-xting did not amount to obscenity because the image fails to pass the famous three-prong obscenity test. Would the average person see the work as appealing to the prurient interest? Does it depict sexual conduct in a patently offensive way, as defined by state laws? And finally, does the work lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value? The text they claim was clearly a piece of political mockery and was not intended to arouse anyone's sexual interest, meaning that it fails the so-called Miller test, as in the case Miller versus California. So the assumption here is that, well, it's a cartoon character. It's not a real person to start with.
Right, despite how Chris Hockey might use it.
Well, that's true, too. So if it's up to FIRE, they think, based on what they know about this, it does not pass muster. and that the individual should not have been arrested in the first place. But if it's done nothing else, it has introduced a new term to the language, Shrek-xting. I don't think we've heard that one before, have we?
I hadn't.
No, I had not either. Maybe it's out there?
Maybe we're in the wrong Reddit groups.
But that's it. Great guest lineup today. Kevin Seifert at 4. Richard Pitino at 3:30 talking about everything. Some good college sports issues, some Madison Square Garden conversation. It's always fun with Richard on a number of subjects. Seifert joined us from Vikings camp at 4, and Lou Nanny joined at 4:30. Tomorrow is what, Wednesday?
We think it's a Whalen Wednesday.
We're hoping it's a Whalen Wednesday, fresh off a game tonight against Beckers, right, in the Dallas Stars.
You got it.
But regardless, we've assumed we got Kessler tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about a photo I retweeted that you may have seen that I just think it's a hell of a photo involving two tennis all-time greats on the men's side of the equation. I want to discuss some things that come to mind to me on the basis of that photo and sort of its genesis. So we might actually talk some tennis tomorrow. And typical of me, I want to talk tennis from like half a century ago.
That's okay.
Not tennis of today.
We can throw it back.
But I think the photo is rich, and it raises some interesting issues. So we might have some fun with that tomorrow. Friday we introduce our World Cup correspondent. Apparently, Papa has run off to the Paul Allen Project. Fine. Knock yourself out. Talking to Mr. Soccer, Paul Allen. We're fine with that. Brett Blakemore is going to be our official correspondent, starting, we think, on Friday, correct? Because the U.S. first game is Friday?
Friday night, yeah. I think at like 9 o'clock
game?
our time.
Yeah.
I think that's what Brett told me. That's why he's the correspondent. I just said, when do we play?
Yeah.
He said Friday. I said, all right, we'll do it Friday.
That works for me. We've got game number 4 tonight, right? Stanley Cup final.
Vegas, Carolina.
Vegas, Carolina. Carolina, of course, now trying to even up the series, correct?
They are.
So basically, Carolina's trying to do kind of exactly what the Spurs are trying to do.
Yes.
Right? Lose your first 2 at home, and then come back, and on the other team's ice or court, you win the next 2, correct?
No, they split the first 2.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Vegas hosted game 3.
That's true. Good point.
Yep. But they're trying to not go back home down 3-1.
Yeah.
The Spurs are trying to do the same thing tomorrow.
So they're both trying to go back home 2-2. That part is true, correct?
Yes.
That's where we're at here. And I'm actually rooting for both because we want to see longer series. We want to see this thing get interesting, correct?
It got real interesting in the NBA last night.
It certainly did. How'd you like were you bitter at the latest Wemby cheap shot?
Yes, I was.
Brenson? I figured you might take it well.
I get it. He gets the crap beat out of him. And this is, I don't know how refs decide what's a foul and what's not, like in the finals.
Yeah, I don't know how they missed that one.
Well, and because that's just nonsense.
Yeah.
That's not just physical stuff at the rim. That's good job by Brunson, by the way, just standing up and continuing to play.
Yes.
Because
but I think the assumption was Spurs are gonna regret it because they woke up the bear.
Yeah.
Except for the second half started, and then the Knicks went back into hibernation. Let's be honest.
And the Bears been awake for a while.
That's also true.
It's the NBA